Hey guys, it's Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and when I did my Mackenzie Blue review by Tina Wells, I asked you guys if you wanted me to do a review on MockingJay, because Jessie already did one, and I didn't know if you guys would want to watch two of them, but you guys requested that I went ahead and did it, so thank you for doing that, and I'm going to go ahead and do my best to give my opinions about this book, because this book, if you've read it, which you probably have by now because it came out a while ago, it is really hard to explain, and especially really hard to decide how you feel about it, because there's times where you're like, oh, I loved it, it was so good, and then there's other times where you're like, it was really lacking in a lot of areas. So I'm just going to go ahead with my review. This is the final, and this is the last and final installment in the Hunger Games series, and it kind of leaves you with a bittersweet feeling just because the series over and it sucks and it kind of makes you mad and it kind of makes you want to nitpick it just so you can continue to talk about it, I guess. There are many things that happen in this book that make the story more realistic. Like, the other ones were, for me, the fantasy element came in the other ones with the arena and the things that the characters encountered in the arena. In this one, the arena is not really present, so it kind of takes that fantasy element out of it and it makes it a more realistic world where, you know, you get to see things how they would be if it happened in real life. Like, for instance, the characters, their human nature comes out, and at times that makes them weak and annoying, and it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either, because you really don't want to see your heroes in that kind of light. You don't want to see their weaknesses brought out, but to get to know them better, you would need to know their weaknesses. So it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing, and it's just not something that you really want, but you have kind of need it. There was one major cop-out in this story that I was really disappointed about. It wasn't like, you know, oh, Susan Collins, you fooled me, I didn't see that coming. It was more like, really, that's how the way you're going to go about this issue? It was more like it just wasn't justified in my mind. You know, the cause didn't match up with the effect, and I can't really say more than that without spoiling it, but I just thought it was a very weak part of the book. When I look at the series as a whole, I actually read this a while ago, and I didn't realize this till last night, till I was trying to think of points that I was going to discuss on this review, and there's something that I noticed, and it was, when I noticed it, it made me very sad. It's like, when you look at the series as a whole, it's ironic, it's sad, it's disappointing, and it makes you just feel like that sucks. You know, there's no good way about it. That just sucks. And I can't tell you what that is because it would spoil all the books, but it just kind of seems pointless and ironic and just sad. You want it to end differently, but not to the point where it would change the story. So it's a very conflicting feeling this book leaves you with, and that's usually a bad thing, but with this, it doesn't really do that to you. You know, it's kind of like, feels like Susan Collins tried to please too many people with this story. It feels like that she didn't want to address too many issues head on, so she just kind of answers the questions that you've been waiting to hear the answer to, but she does it in a kind of a sloppy manner, and I didn't really like that. Even without spoiling this book, I probably could not explain it any better than that. It seems like I'm saying a lot of bad things about this story, but the truth is, I loved it. That's the weird thing about this story, is there's a lot of events in it that you don't like, but you still love the book, and it's very hard to put into words how sometimes it makes you feel and other times it don't make you feel. It's like a lot of it's disappointing, a lot of it's good, but it feels like it just kind of just ends, and it needs to be more of a, because you can't really tell if it's a happy ending or not, to be quite honest. I mean, I don't think that's spoiling it, but it just kind of ends. You know, so many things are left unaddressed and unsaid, and but I still loved it. I mean, I loved it. I stayed up. It was a page turner. I couldn't put it down. It was amazing, but it's hard to explain, and I think a lot of people feel that way. I feel like, you know, it's like an emotional roller coaster. It's like, you love it, you hate it, you love it, you hate it, and it's like, goes like that the whole entire book, and it's like, when you're done with it, you feel so conflicted. like, you feel like you're contradicting yourself, like I am in this video. You feel like you loved it, you hate it. The characters were good, but they were bad. They were weak, but they were strong. And it's like, usually when a book does that to you, it's a bad book. But this one was still amazing. I mean, I don't know if it's just her writing style that did that, but it was just, I would recommend it to anybody. It's definitely not my favorite in the series just because I was so conflicted. I mean, the first one, it was amazing. You loved it. It's just such a cool concept. You couldn't get enough of it. The second one was okay, but it didn't meet that standard of the first one. This one's kind of like that too, but it makes you feel like something's wrong, something's missing, but it was still amazing. I don't know if anyone else out there feels like this, but I wish I could talk more about the book without spoiling it. I think that's what makes it so weird for me personally, is because it's a lot more violent than the other ones, and I really don't like violence, but I love the characters, I love the story, I love the concept, but the things that happen to people in this book is wrong, but it's also amazing. Not what happens to the characters, but as a whole. Let's just say I loved it. 10 stars. I hope you guys liked it too. Please let me know in the bottom comments if you feel as conflicted as I do, because that's why I put off this review so long, because it's very hard to pinpoint what you love about it and what you hate about it. That's why I feel like it needed a more clean-cut ending, because you really don't know how to feel about it when it's over. Plain and simple. I think it just should have been cleaner in that aspect of the book. But I still loved it. I still would read it again. Maybe I should read it again. Well, thanks for listening to me ramble on about this review. I'm sorry if you wish you didn't request it now, because I was so crazy and so contradicting in this review. This was Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and I'm sorry this review was so confusing, but that's how you feel after you read this book, but it's still amazing. So, this is Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and this chapter was for you.